Life's best moments are best captured by photography and video. You may ask, why photography and video? Because if a photo is worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000,000. And GPS photography and video will leave you speechless. GPS specializes in weddings, sports, fitness, and so much more. Book your next shoot today at 910-257-0526 or gpsphotoandvideo.com.
Welcome to the Amazon's podcast. I'm Glenn Young, owner of Amazon's Fitness Magazine. Celebrate the female physique. Subscribe to amazonsfitmag.com. The podcast is brought to you by title sponsor Maximus Posing Suits. Let your inner warrior shine. Custom-made competition suits for victory on every stage. MaximusPosingSuits.com. And, of course, GPS Photography and Video. Why photography and video? Because of a photo's worth 1,000 words, video's worth 1,000,000. GPS or Amazon's Fitness Magazine is a publication of GPS Photography and Video. And this week, bronze level sponsor, Murder Weight. It's not just that you're wearing a apparel or wearing a clothing brand. You're wearing a mindset. MurderWeight.com. My guest is the IFBB Women's Physique Pro. She's getting ready for the Tampa Pro. She earned her pro card at the 2021 Nationals. In her spare time, she's also a powerlifter, world record nationals holder. And then when she got bored, she ran the Tallahassee Marathon, 26.2 miles, and pulled 500 pounds in a 24-hour period. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, IFBB Women's Physique Pro, Blanca Rodrigues.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on, Glenn.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Thanks for making an adjustment to the schedule earlier in the week. Had overbooked, to be honest, which is a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good thing. So I did not expect to have 8 competitors on this week, but hey, when people can schedule and when they can come on, it's always a good thing. So tell us more about you. You're 8 weeks now out from the Tampa Pro. How did you get to women's physique division?
Well, I have a background in powerlifting. It's kind of how I built my muscle. My love of bodybuilding, though, preceded that. I've been in love with bodybuilding ever since I was a kid, pretty much. Always wanted to do it. Kind of waiting for the time to be right. I knew I did not want to do bikini to start off bodybuilding. I knew that I wanted to do one of the more muscular divisions, but I didn't have the muscle.
Wait, what you got against bikinis? Why you didn't want to do the bikinis?
Just not for me. The posing especially was just not for me. Right. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew that I at least wanted to do figure when I stepped on stage. And it was great because by the time I was ready and I was ready to move on from competitive powerlifting, I had the muscle to do women's physique, and that's exactly what I did.
Okay. 8 weeks out from the Tampa Pro. This is your first show of the year?
Yeah, it'll be my first show of the year.
Okay.
I'm hoping to do another show after that, but I just kind of want to take it one show at a time. I feel like sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do multiple shows. And, I always kind of like tell myself, oh, I'm going to do this show, and I'm going to do that show. And this time I just kind of want to do it one show at a time and just focus on one. So right now it's Tampa Pro, 8 weeks out. And I feel like for the first time, I've lined everything up right. I mean, coming in with a lot of data. I have a really good coach I've been working with, Haseen Nasir.
Yes.
I did a great reverse diet. It was on point. I had a very structured off season, which I haven't really had before. I've been working on posing all throughout my off season, which was something that I kind of just let go until it was time to start prepping. So everybody talks about the one off season that really kind of just puts them in the right place. And I feel like I'm kind of setting myself up for that finally.
I got you. Do you have a opposing coach?
I do. Yeah, I've been working with Christina Mendoza. I worked with her last year, and she's just, I mean, she's incredibly sweet, knowledgeable, and she's a great coach. So I'm using her again this season, and we've already started working on her posing, and she's already adjusted my posing, and it's already looking better. So I'm excited about that.
Well, it's a home game. You being from Tampa, choosing to do the Tampa Pro, which is one of the largest shows of Tim Gardner's. I think one year they had a record 40-some women's physique at that show. And it's one of the ones later in the season, or I guess I should say about 3/4 way through the season. So it's going to be a lot of people there. It's a great show, well run, everything that I've heard. The feedback on it is one that I've been trying to go to. So I may make it this year. We'll just have to. However, there's also another show in Texas in August. 15K up for grabs.
Wow.
Vegas show there in the Texas Pro. Did you think about that one, or is that one, when it came out about the prize money, did you say, oh, okay, you might do this one?
Yeah, the Texas Pro always kind of stood out to me the last few years. The question for me though is like, it's a week turnaround, and I just it's pretty short.
Is it hard? Is it hard with a week turnaround though?
That's the thing is I've never done it before.
Okay, got you.
So I'm kind of open. I'm open to any of the shows after Tampa Pro. That's something that Haseen and I will have to talk about. And I also kind of want to see how Tampa Pro goes because, we put a lot of work into this, to just do one show. But sometimes it's not worth doing a second show depending on how the results.
Yeah,
so,
and of course the feedback. I got you.
The feedback, exactly. So I'm just going to take it one show at a time, see how Tampa goes, where I kind of fall in. Even though I know that's a big show, I know a lot of Olympians always show up for that one. And that was actually the show debut 2 years ago was the Tampa Pro. So I'm excited to go back looking better and just blow my last package out of the water.
It's a very popular show. Like I said, the timing is just right. Again, you're about to hit that gauntlet where you got the Atlanta Pro, the Chicago Pro, and then roll right into the Tampa. So we're at the height of the season. It doesn't get any bigger than this. Tampa Pro, you win, you get your Olympia qualification. Would you do another show or would you shut it down till October?
Oh, no. If I were to qualify, I would shut it down. Yeah, because I feel like you're asking a lot from your body. So it's like, is the juice really worth a squeeze or is it worth preserving it until what really matters? And,
Well said. And you want to come into the Olympia at your best. So many times you hear the horror stories. My body started failing me. My body just wasn't responding. And it's the accumulation of the season and the number of shows that a competitor has done. Every competitor is different. Every coach is different. It doesn't happen to everybody. But it really comes down to what's the best for you to get that best package on the stage at Olympia.
Exactly. Even something as like inflammation that, after you do multiple shows, it's like pretty much trying to keep that off and, the body does what it wants to do sometimes.
What's been your thing that you've been working on this season to prepare? What are you trying to improve?
Well, my upper body. That's something that, on stage on the pro stage, it's something that I've had to work on. It's been, I add a lot of muscle to my lower body very easily, but for my upper body, it's been kind of a struggle, especially my shoulders. I have narrow clavicles. So for me, I'm really having to really, really work my shoulders, which I feel like I've brought up significantly. This was actually, again, the first off season that I prioritized my upper body. It was something that I needed to do. I personally love a good leg day. So, up until this off season, I was prioritizing legs, even though I really shouldn't have been doing that. So this was, again, the first off season that I ate enough food to really build and just prioritize upper body over lower body. And I feel like that's really worked. I feel like I've added in a very short time quite a bit of muscle mass.
Okay. When you look at the physiques and women's physique specifically this season, what's been your thoughts on what they're judging or the package that everyone's bringing? And you go from the St. Louis Pro to the New York Pro, Pittsburgh Pro to now this weekend the Toronto Pro Showdown. What's been your thoughts on how?
It's been interesting. The shows have been rather small. They're nothing compared to how the shows are closer to the Olympia. I expect probably close to 30 competitors at Tampa Pro, and I'm sure quite a few Olympians competing as well. So I feel like, I actually have really liked the judging for these shows that have occurred. I feel like they've kind of gone back to more of like a traditional women's physique from a few years ago. But I feel like that's going to change once, we throw the Olympians into the mix. And as, the season progresses, I feel like they're going to kind of go back to that, really like wanting that muscular, conditioned, hard look.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I just feel like, the standard is set at the Olympia. When you see the top three at the Olympia, the women's physique, that sets the standard, I feel, for the division going forward, at least for the next year or so. So, when you have somebody that like Sarah, and Natalia, I mean, they're big, they're very conditioned, and they're getting bigger every year. So, that's kind of, I feel like, pushing the envelope a little bit, and everybody else kind of has to follow, through, except those smaller shows where you don't really have those really, really big competitors.
Everyone's chasing that package or that frame. You came from powerlifting. Tell me about this marathon. Was this the first marathon you'd ever run? Or was this something you run up before?
Before I started powerlifting, I was a marathon runner. So I used to run marathons all the time. That was the first competitions that I did as an adult. So then I kind of got tired of that after a while, and then moved on to powerlifting. So I hadn't run in about 10 years. I hadn't run a marathon in 10 years, and I had put on about 30 pounds. So it was a completely different body that ran the marathon. It was something that I kind of got a little burnt out after that bodybuilding season in 2022. So I kind of didn't really prioritize bodybuilding that off season, and I wanted to just kind of do something a little different. Something I had actually wanted to run a marathon and pull a heavy deadlift in the 24-hour period for a while, but I just was waiting for the right time to do it. And I kind of found myself with the time and the opportunity, and I was like, you know what, let me just check this bucket list item off. And it was something I wanted to do because no woman had really done it. There had been a few men that had run a full marathon and had, pulled like a 500 or 600 pound deadlift, but no woman had done that. So I was like, you know what, I want to be the first to do that. So I did it. I did it in February of 2023. And it felt good to do that. It felt good. But then I was so ready to get back to bodybuilding after that.
Well, it's one way to get your cardio in for sure.
Yeah, no, and I made sure that I didn't burn through any leg muscle, because that was the one thing that I wanted to prove, that if you did the diet right and you did the training correctly, and the programming, that you wouldn't really burn through muscle. And I didn't. I got a DEXA scan before I started the training, and I got a DEXA scan after I had run the marathon, and I had lost no leg muscle.
Okay.
Or no muscle whatsoever, really.
Yeah. What does the DEXA scan specifically look for? How's it done?
They have one in MI40 where I train, and I mean, it's a great tool for bodybuilders because it'll determine like your bone density, your body fat percentage. It'll also show you any muscular imbalances that you may have incorrect, which is very key for the stage, if you want to be symmetrical. So I get those done routinely. I usually try to do those before my shows.
Right. So when you talk about muscle maturity, which everyone talks about, women get it later. The older they get, the better they tend to look with muscle maturity. But at the same time, the older competitors, if you want to say it like that, are losing bone density. How do you find a balance in that?
I'm sorry, what was the question? Sorry.
Bone density versus muscle maturity. Do the older athletes, everyone talks about, well, they look better than what they did at 27 because they're getting the muscle maturity and everything is dialed in better. But at the same time, you were losing bone density. How do you find the balance between the two? Is it just something that you just keep a check on, or
Yeah,
because
just keeping up with the data, making sure that
Mhm.
I'm getting the DEX is done. Just really keeping an eye on it. I haven't really come across any bone density issues yet.
Right.
Even though at some point, that will be an issue, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But I feel like strength training really does help combat osteoporosis and things like that.
Yeah,
So hopefully my strength training will keep that in check.
yeah. That's what I've heard over and over, that it combats aging. The more you lift weights as you get older. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, I'm an example of that. I mean, I'm turning 41 this year, and
mhm.
I really
But
don't
that's not old.
feel my age. Yeah, depending on who you ask,
Yeah.
I feel like age is really just a number. I feel like if this is really what's keeping me young is, pushing my body like this and taking care of my
Mhm.
body. And that's the one thing that I really have to give bodybuilding is that I do this more than for just getting on the stage and doing a show
Right.
and competing. For me, it's a lifestyle. If the stage were to disappear tomorrow, I would still be eating my meals. I would still be training hard. It wouldn't change anything.
Mhm.
And in a way, it's like, obviously I want to place high and I want to win shows. But at the end of the day, that's not everything for me. For me, it's like, showing up, feeling better, looking better. My main goal in life is pushing my body to the limits. I did that
Mhm.
with running to see how fast and how far I could run. I did that in powerlifting to see how much weight I could lift. And then this is like, now the next venture I'm on is just seeing how aesthetic I can get my physique.
Now, you are a personal trainer and lifestyle coach. Which client do you like best? Lifestyle coaching or training a competitor for a show? Or do you even care?
To be honest with you, I'm going to have to say lifestyle because I feel like I'm changing people's lives.
Hmm.
It's, I mean, it's rewarding to help people achieve their fitness goals when it comes to aesthetics, performance. That feels great. But what
Hmm.
feels great is getting someone's blood work cleaned up, getting someone sleeping better.
Hmm.
This is adding years to people's lives.
Right.
I had a client that came to me a couple years ago and was like, I'm about to, my doctor told me that if I don't lose weight, I'm going to face a double knee replacement, you
Hmm.
know, and, we've taken off. I mean, he started off at 305 and he's down to 250, and he's a
Right.
muscular guy. So he's got his muscle, he's retained his muscle, he's still building muscle, but,
Right.
this has added years to his life. And just teaching people how to eat correctly, what to eat, when to eat. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So to me, that's
Mhm.
just the most rewarding thing is, taking a client that, barely knows anything and teaching them like how to have a healthier lifestyle.
Right. And the biggest thing about it, people got to understand that even if you're just doing lifestyle trying to lose weight, it all comes back to the blood work, the LDL, the HDL, blood pressure, because a lot of people are borderline the A1C, which is the biggest measurement out there. Because if you don't get that down, you be diabetic, but now you risk of stroke and heart attack.
Mhm.
So yeah, and that's something that everyone battles. My next appointment is on the 28th of June, so it's just over time. You got to stay on it, keep
Yeah, we're
working
human.
out.
We're human. We're going to have our
Yeah,
issues, but I think the key is having that awareness of your body, self
right,
awareness, and also getting the blood work done. All those things that people just tend to kind of just let go to
right,
the wayside.
and it can keep you from taking all the medications and stuff, of course, as well. So the
Oh yeah.
less you weigh, it's just a common sense. The less you weigh, the lower the blood pressure will be, the lower the A1C will be.
Mhm.
Um, but then doing it, it's simple in theory, but and you can't have diet without exercise. Both of them got to. It's got to be a marriage where they go both together. And
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, sometimes you do get that hard counsel from doctors. Look, you want to have a stroke? Do you want us to be cutting your toes off because you're a diabetic? Do you want to have a stroke and die in front of your family? You know,
Mhm.
and then like you said, back to the sleeping. you can literally get rid of sleep apnea by losing weight. So
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing to get somebody off of a CPAP.
yes. Hmm.
So it's and not only that stuff, but also going back to women and osteoporosis. So many women don't know how to strength train or don't know how to incorporate strength training into their regimen.
Right.
It's so important for women as they get older.
Definitely. How long you been in prep?
I started at 16 weeks out, so yeah, I'm about halfway through the prep now.
And what was it last time? Same length?
Well, last season was kind of like a shotgun prep for me because, like I said,
Okay.
I had that unstructured off season where I didn't prioritize bodybuilding. I ended up running the marathon, did the deadlift, and then I was just gonna do kind of like a summer cut, and I started cutting, and I started looking good, and then I had actually been curious about doing figure.
Really?
So I was like, you know what? Let me just do a prep and try a figure show and see how it goes. Which
Right.
I did the Daytona Pro last season, and
Mhm.
I had fun, but figure was not for me. So I did the Atlantic Coast after that, women's physique, to kind of get back into it. And honestly, I looked really great for the unstructured off season that I had. I hadn't prioritized bodybuilding, so and then basically this shotgun prep that I did. So I'm excited to go on stage this year, having done everything the way I should have done it.
Now, on the flip side of that question, you thought about figure. Did you also think down the line of maybe moving up to women's bodybuilding?
Well, the reason why I tried figure prohibits me from bodybuilding because my whole thing was I struggle with size,
Mm-hmm.
especially the upper body. So for me, now that women's physique, they want more size, they want more conditioning. I was like, well, I'm seeing how figure now they're judging where they want them tighter, they want them more dense. So I said, let me give it a shot to see if maybe I fit better in that category, especially at my age.
Right.
But then I quickly realized that figure is all about shape.
Mm-hmm.
I have narrow clavicles, so I cannot open up like the rest of the competitors do on the pro stage. I quickly learned that I would need way more muscle to compete with just their upper body shape. But again, that's the thing, is realizing structurally what fits and what doesn't. So I said, I'd rather deal with the issue of size because I could technically put on more size
Mm-hmm.
versus structure where I can't do anything about my bone structure.
Good point. You have a favorite exercise that you like working? Or you just
Um,
take it day by day? Take me through your week, I guess, is a better question.
okay.
Monday through Friday, what are you working? And then how do you end your week?
Well, I technically start my week on Sunday. I like to do legs on Sunday because it's just very, very taxing for me. So
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to be able to go home on a Sunday after my workout and just relax versus like having to do things. So I'll usually do quads with like a little bit of hammies on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then Monday, I'll do some back and shoulders. On Tuesday, I'll do kind of like some low intensity hamstrings and glutes. Wednesday, I'll do push day. Then
Mm-hmm.
I'll rest on a Wednesday. Then Thursday, I'll do a push day. Then Friday is my posterior day. Like I was telling you, I like to work
Mm-hmm.
lats, glutes, and
That's what
hammies.
you work today. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh,
How much cardio did you do this week?
my cardio is pretty moderate right now. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
doing every day except leg day, 30 minutes, low intensity.
Mm-hmm. How will that all this change going into peak week? How will you dial it in? Like I said, it's a home show for you. So that's an advantage, I believe,
Yeah.
for a lot of competitors that will be flying in that might be dealing with water retention. It's just always better when you're home.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you stay at the house as opposed to staying at the venue. How will your peak week work going into Tampa?
I mean, it's gonna be pretty smooth for me. It's gonna be pretty much like any other week in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll be much different for me other than actually resting right before the show. quicker workouts, stuff like that. I don't really know what Hassan has planned. This is my first time prepping with him.
This is your first year with him. Okay.
Yeah, I did the off season with him, which I'm so glad I did because I needed to eat a lot of food, and he was feeding me a lot of food, and it made such a difference. It's amazing that I am at 161 pounds right now, as lean as I am. It's incredible. I mean, just the way I looked all the off season, I had most of my lines. My training was good. I felt good. I was healthy. Very, very barely on any supplementation. It was a very productive off season. So I was very glad that I started working with him even before the prep.
What was your stage weight last time? And what's your aim of this time to be your stage weight?
My stage weight has been around 145 most of the shows that I've done. But I feel like my issue has always been holding on to the size during the cut. I don't really have an issue with conditioning. It's just keeping the size. So I feel like I wasn't as full on stage as I probably could have been. But according to Hassan, he says we're going to pretty much show up the same body weight, just more muscle.
Got you. I'm going to let you get out of here on this one. PEDs in geriatric health, PEDs used with lifestyle clients. And, Ozempic is all the rage now. But they say you lose muscle mass. So give me your thoughts on that. You got a lifestyle client, where they do want to do a cookie cutter to get to where they want to get. What are your thoughts on that? Because Ozempic obviously was designed for those that are obese, that are borderline stroke, A1C, to get an immediate change. Because if not, going to stroke out or have a heart attack and die.
Yeah, with lifestyle clients, I just really try to push, food and training and recovery more than anything else. Obviously, TRT, HRT, depending on the age of the client. I think that's important. It's important for them to get blood work as well. Being a lifestyle client, I don't feel like you have to be a competitor to get routine blood work. As far as lifestyle, I mean, you can get so much out of food, so much out of, proper sleeping habits, recovery, training hard. I feel like most people, especially lifestyle clients, don't train hard.
Right.
So, it takes sometimes a while of coaching someone to really get them to know like what failure is.
Right. What's the knowledge factor? They don't know.
They don't know.
Exactly. Don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. So, me personally, I wouldn't, especially, something like, what is it? Ozempic, it's called.
Ozempic.
Where I feel like, things like that, they give and they take. There's risk associated with that. So, why mess with that?
Right. Makes sense. Any shout outs you want to give as we get closer to the Tampa Pro? And I definitely like to have you on prior to your peak week. And still trying to get this photo shoot done as well.
Oh, yeah. You just let me know. Yeah.
Okay. Do you like doing photo shoots prior to peak week, during peak week, or just shut it down? Like the formula I like to use is 2 weeks prior to a show, 2 weeks after a show. As far as doing a photo shoot to make it happen. But I
think that's great. 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after. Yeah, because I feel like peak week is just so, I don't know. It's just so, there's so many variables at play.
Yeah, you just shouldn't mess with it.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
But yet I see a lot of people doing it. And so I'll be like, okay, well, that's up to you, guy. But I'm just a photographer, so we'll shoot you whenever, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I really have no preference. 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. It's about all the same for me.
Got you. Blanca Rodrigues, thanks for joining me on the Amazon's podcast. Like I said, I want to get you back on before you hit the Tampa Pro, and we'll just go from there. But excited for you. Enjoy the season and go get that Olympia qualification.
Awesome. Thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing, all the support that you guys give women's physique and women's bodybuilding. And yeah, I'll absolutely be ready to get back on the podcast once I'm ready to get on the show.
All right. Talk soon. Thanks again, Blanca.
All right. Have a good night. Take care.
All right. You too. Blanca Rodrigues on her way to the Tampa Pro. Glad she came on. Coming up next at 8:30 p.m. on the Eastern is going to be Hannah Hussein. And we're going to talk everything about the article that she wrote in the May issue of Amazon's Fitness Magazine. So you definitely want to check that out. And so she'll be coming up here at 8:30 for the second competitor of the evening. So you guys tune in, and we will see you in about 20, 25 minutes or so.